for me personally, being able to see Dave's growth from when he first got to Green Bay and to where he is now is, I mean, it's fantastic. Obviously, the potential was always there for him to turn into that player. It was just, he was a little bit raw. I think he would be the first one to say that. But if you looked at the characteristics that he had, besides going into the mental aspect, which I'll touch on, but just attribute wise, um, big frame, long arms, good feet. Um, you know, does have heavy hands. He's one of those guys that you wouldn't really think it, but when he gets his hands on you, he does possess pretty good pop in his hands, which um, myself and guys like Sitton and when we were in Green Bay, not a bunch of us were punchers. TJ was a puncher. That was kind of his game. But you look at Sitton, myself, and Dave, we're not really, or we never really were big punch guys. We were more of find our hands in the right place and lock in, and that's something that Dave was very good at and still is very good at because of his length and where he places his hands and how he's able to get them in the proper positions. But I think what, you know, seeing him grow, especially from year one to year two, and the confidence that he got from that, his success as a rookie, really, really propelled him in that year two, which you saw, a lot more risk taking with sets, kind of where he is now and what he does on a pretty much normal pass down is not a conventional set. It's not your true 45 or true vertical, whatever guys would prefer. He's a little more unconventional, and I think that developed in year two, and he got comfortable with his technique and taking risks and doing different things. And once he was able to show different sets and give different angles and do different things with his hands, I think his confidence level just went up, and his comfort within the system obviously played a big part in it. But from a fundamental standpoint, um, I don't know if there's another three guys better than him fundamentally, um, playing tackle right now. I mean, you have top dogs that Trent and I feel like Tehran's very technically sound and very good. But I don't think anyone is, you know, I don't think anyone holds anything over Dave technique wise. Now, nobody looks the same, nobody moves the same, nobody plays the same. That's cookie cutter stuff, which isn't real life. But what Dave has taken from his style of play, and what he's good at and what he's developed, and he implements it on DNs and rush patterns and throughout a game, I'm not sure there's anybody fundamentally better than him. I think he's a very smart player. I think he understands, obviously, all the basic things down in distance. Where's your help? What's the play? 3-step, 5-step, 7-step play action. All that stuff's pretty normal to understand. I think where he excels so well is he has a plan in his mind of how he wants to attack defenders, not just in the run game, but also in the pass game. And he's able to implement his plan based on whatever the rusher does, whether that's power, whether that's speed. He has a quick adjustments to it. And he gets to that from his initial set that he's kind of developed over the last 5 years. That's kind of just his go-to. And he can do all the normal. He can vertical set, he can 45 set, but it's kind of his. I don't even know what type of set to call it. I mean, it's a kind of a 45. It's kind of a run action kind of looking set, but he brings the fight to the DN and cuts out space super quick, and then he's able to give ground super quick. So it's kind of like he takes that space away from the DN right off the get. He kind of gets that DN to pop his shoulders up a little bit, like, oh shit, is this, like, what do we got here? Then he's able to retreat super super quick, like 2 yards, and give himself space to adjust to any rush that's thrown at him. And I don't think there's anybody better in the league at doing that than him. And knowing that he understands where his weak points are, what can beat that, and um, that's what makes him so good at doing that. Is he understands all the weaknesses to it, but he also knows that there's a lot of strengths to it. And that's something that I think is kind of put him at a notch above a lot of guys in this league. Is he just doesn't do it based off sheer athleticism or sheer strength. Like, listen, he's athletic, he's strong. You can't not be at that level, but he does it in a in a big culmination of things. He's able to get the job done through technique, through the mental aspect of it, on having a plan, but then also strength and athleticism. I also think, personally, something that I guess in few circles gets talked about anymore, but just because of the way the league is these days, I think he's an underrated run blocker. I think it's something that he's really gotten better at, as the years have gone on. And he's putting on weight as he's put on weight and gotten stronger from when he was a rookie. But I also feel like the scheme that Coach LaFleur runs and what they have in Green Bay right now really unlocked a lot of that potential for him. Mm-hmm. The just that run game in general and angles and doing what he does best. I mean, it gets guys that can open up and run and cut guys out of gaps and climb to second level. That scheme really brings those guys out to light, and it shows their skill set in the run game. And I think that's only benefited him, because I think he's underrated. I mean, I think he's got good power on double teams to run, power or things like that at the point of attack. Obviously, he's got the athleticism to stretch a corner and stretch an edge, and obviously chase down linebackers on backside, cut out three techs. He has all that. Not everyone can look like Trent Williams at the point of attack or taking on linebackers. That's kind of that's not something that everyone can do. That's freaky stuff. But I think Dave in the run game is underrated. I think he doesn't get enough credit for it, because if you go back and watch tape from when he was on the field, the last few years, a lot of things get done, point of attack, front side for him. And in that scheme, point of attack also happens on the backside on that three tech because of how a lot of the balls wind back. And, there's a lot of action going backwards, which then pulls defenses, and the cutbacks are huge. So he's very good at that. And I think he's very good at angles too, understanding his angles, and doing all that. Good. I think it's hard to get into specifics of run plays if you're not talking about a certain one, or you know what I mean, like, oh well, what do you think? It's hard to do that. But I think from an overall total package, left tackle, like I said, there's exceptions to everything. I mean, I'm not going to say he's better than Trent. He's not better than Trent or Teron or any of these guys. I'm not going to say that because I think they're all very, very good. But I think Dave has special traits that, definitely solidifies himself in that top tier guys. And I don't think there's any questions about it.